Okay. I'm going to mispronounce this show's name quite a bit. Please forgive me. It's a K-drama named Wonderfools. Yeah, it's on Netflix. It stars Park Eun-bin. If you've seen Castaway Diva or Extraordinary Woo, you know who Park Eun-bin is. If you like K-dramas. I love K-dramas. I watch more K-dramas than anything else. And I listen to K-pop. There's someone was walking around my backyard. I listen to K-pop more than modern music. So, I love that stuff. But when the it's don't be in the title. I'm having the name though. The Wonderfools, yeah, it don't be though. But I just can't pronounce it. Yeah. I enjoyed it. It wasn't Park Eun-bin's best work. Like she did a show on Disney Channel on Disney Plus. That was like a serial killer mother. Like she's a doctor and she's killing people. My house was really frizzy because I was out mowing the yard. But she did this show on Disney Plus, and I enjoyed it. I watched Extraordinary Woo, Castaway Diva. She has other stuff too that I have watched some of it, but I can't remember the names, and other stuff I haven't watched. I am gonna be like probably simping for Park Eun-bin pretty much this entire video because I love her acting style. Her and Park Bo Young are like my two favorite K-drama actresses. But this show takes place at 1999, and basically the premise is to stop the bad guys before 2000, before the new year. The entire plot line is basically to stop the bad guy, figure out why her and her two friends are getting powers. Her power is kind of interesting because she technically has two powers, which they explain through the storyline. If you watch, I'm not going to explain how she has her second power, but it's basically a superhero origin story. And Park Eun-bin, I'm just going to call it that because I can't remember the names. I just watched the show, but I still can't remember all the names because I have so much uphill. But her power was teleportation at first. Well, ever she can teleport somewhere, and she has to teleport back to where she teleported. That's her power set. Which is, but the only way to get that is to have a adrenaline rush type deal, or a caffeine high. Like she has to really be hyped up on caffeine or adrenaline. And that was it's an interesting power. Her second power is the fact that she's kinda immortal in the way of she can die and come back as basically the same person, like exactly the same, but she can't really die. But they really don't use that power like the first episode, then like maybe in the middle of another episode, and then the last episode. It's a big plot line, but it's not like she uses it a lot. It's like, oh yeah, you have that power because of this situation. But yeah, she has that power, Park Eun-bin. Uh, her friend, who he's a he's in a lot of other K dramas. When you see him, you know who he is, and he's in a lot of K dramas that season. So this is one of those things. But his powers is whenever he's insulted, he gets super strong. So if he's being insulted, he will get super strength, which is pretty cool. Like it's like you call someone and mean names, and he gets upset, and he gets super strong doing it. But the only problem is eventually he's gonna get used to the insults. So that might be a little problem with this, but it worked for the story. His the other friend, which he was technically not really her friend, he was just there because the other guy was friends with him, and they always never got along. The Mingo and Park Eun-bin and this guy, his powers is he can stick to anything he touches. And anything he touches can stick to anything. Type deal. That comes in handy later on in the last episode. But he can only do that if he lies. Which is funny because he's in compulsive lie. It's one of the reasons he's having marriage problems on this series. And his daughter doesn't trust him or anything just because he's a compulsive liar. He's always lying about stuff. But it's kind of funny because now whenever he lies, he can't unstick his hand from anything or his body or his... So there was one scene he was lying, he was stuck to the ground, and they could push him over, and he would just stand right back up because of the... But when he tells the truth, he can let go. Interesting, pal. Sorry about the cough. But of course, again, it's another funny situation that they have. They meet this other guy, this stranger type deal in the first 2 episodes. He's works for, I guess, human resources or something like that. He's kind of just doing welfare checks and stuff like that. Hey, you have a leaky faucet type deal, and this area is totally toxic and stuff like that. You find out he has superpowers, but his powers are he can levitate stuff, but he has no control over them. He can do it on will, and he has slight control because he's more used to it. You find out he's been doing this for years, while everyone else just found out they have powers. But he can lift a bunch of stuff up in the air, like cars and knives and everything, and just toss it at people. And he can also pull people towards him and stuff. So it's kind of a cool power, but he does lose control over it, and while he sleeps, his powers are active. They showed that a couple times. But yeah, he's the main love interest character for Park Eun-bin. They're not really boyfriend girlfriend, but they're flirting back and forth quite a bit. But then they have the villains of the group. We'll start off with the main bad guy, who is they call father or dad or he's a doctor who created all of them. He gave them basically all the powers to basically try to save his, I think it was his dad. And this guy, he has 3 superpowered people on his side. And yeah, though. He doesn't really have powers. I'm not going to spoil anything. He doesn't have powers for the entire show except for the cliffhanger. But yeah, he's just basically there. He's still the entire episode. He's a terrible person because he's been experimenting on kids, and now these kids are adults and they don't know what to do because most of them were left on their own after he stopped experimenting on them. And there's a reason why Park Eun-bin's grandmother worked for them and rescued some people, but mainly she rescued one person for another reason, and that gets in storyline. Spoiler territory. I'm not going to talk about spoilers. But yeah, that was the grandmother worked for him. The grandmother started to kidnap the kids or whatever you want to call it. Destroyed his place. His lab, I guess it would be. It's more of a prison, but it was a lab. Which one do I want to start with? I'll start with the guy that works with him. That guy, he has basically, if you know Gravitron from Marvel Comics, where he's just basically, he can control gravity. That's his ability. Basically, he can just like crush anything and push stuff because like gravity, because he can control gravity. Like he could pick up a car and throw it at you, and as he's throwing it at you, he can make it heavy. But that's basically his powers. They don't really tell you much, but he has like a scar across his face, like half his face is like missing type deal. It's still there, but it's like you could tell something happened. They do explain what happened to that in the storyline. I'm not gonna tell you much because that's a big plot line. But when you first, I guess, tactically see him use his powers, he's fighting the guy who can throw stuff, like pick stuff up and throw whatever he wanted. And the one friend that has super strength. And without being insulted, the guy with super strength can't be attacked, like can't even be affected by the gravity guy's power, which is kind of funny because it's just like him trying to crush the guy and it's like doing nothing. It's like, dude. Yeah. That was cool. That was a cool fight. That was pretty cool. The which goal do I want to do? There's 2 more goals. One, I'll do the one that has 2 different colors. She has heterochromia, but one that is actually like kind of blind and it's not actually heterochromia. But she has the ability to basically create illusions. And she has a crush on the main love interest guy. And her power, like I said, she can create illusions. She always entertained all the kids in the lab with like a fist. She makes a fist tank, and they can watch all the fists go around and stuff. It's like, yeah, but she goes to disguise herself as other people. Or there was one scene where everyone's inside the house, and she just sent cockroaches out. they weren't really there, and everyone's panicking over the cockroaches, but no one sees them. Well, everyone sees them, but they're not really there. But at the same time, she's in the room with everyone, and they don't even know she's there because she chose not to. She's created an illusion. But she also made it even worse where they could see cockroaches and they're looking at each other, and all they see are giant cockroaches. So that was an interesting moment. But she's kind of like, she's evil, but she's not. Like, she's only doing it because she wants to save her family, which is the bad guys, and she wants the praise from her father type deal, but yeah. She was probably my favorite character besides Park Eun-bin character. She was probably my favorite. But she's, yeah. I'll tell you something about her at the end. I'll just say it's spoiler and something that kind of bugs me about her. But the next girl is Death, which is funny because the guy has like half his face is scarred. The one girl has like kind of a blind eye. It's like all white and it's like heterochromia, but she can't see out of her eye. It's like glazed over type deal. But this girl, she's deaf. Which again, I guess it's all over the powers, because everyone seems to have like a real whatever, with their powers. It's going on 2:00 in the morning. And I've been doing carpets in the morning all afternoon, and then I went to do yard work. I'm tired. But her powers, she can control people as long as they don't get interrupted by like another sound. Like they were blowing microphones in people's faces, making the static like noise, and they would be able to break the spell type deal. But she can do that with as many people as she wants. But at the same time, her hearing aid seems to help, like make it stronger. The only problem is if the hearing aid falls out, she loses her powers. So, there's that. So, I would say C is the main villain out of the group. Like, the father is the main villain, but he's the first one to be defeated. Then the brother was defeated. But yeah. The brother fight was pretty fun at the end. Well, they're basically inside of a church and they're driving not a lot, front end loader. They're driving that through the entire front of inside the church. It's kind of stupid, but the goal is the teleportation power. So he teleports inside the church. It's like, oh, there's a reason she does that, but again, I'm not going to spoil too much. I want people to watch it because it is kind of entertaining. But there was that. Then there was the I'll go with the girl who camouflages herself. This is where the problem I'll say it for last. I'm gonna do the mind control girl. The entire plot line is to basically, okay, I'm gonna spoil the last two people. But still basically the main plot line. So if you're interested in the show, click off about now, because you're 20 minutes in. But these are both two big important plot lines. Okay. The girl who can create illusions basically ends up finding out that her brother died. So she goes to the other guy that she has a crush on, and she disguises herself as Park Eun-bin's character and kisses him. But as she's kissing him, she stabs him. The main cult leader, I left that a secret, but that's the main plotline for this thing. For the Church of whatever they have. He sees the Park Eun-bin's character kissing the main character, and his goal is to get rid of Park Eun-bin's character. So he stabs Park Eun-bin's character, which happens to be the girl who's able to camouflage herself, and stabs her. At this point, the girl is mind controlled, all of a sudden loses her mind, and basically brings everyone out into the streets and stuff like that to basically have the doomsday event happen. It's like 11:50 and time's ticking down. I'm gonna leave the how they're gonna do it out of it. Again, kind of spoiler, but I'm in spoiler territory right now, so I'm talking. But I'm gonna skip that part because that's still kind of like an important plot line. But see, all of a sudden her earpiece falls out after they beat the thing that's happening. They stop that basically by Park Eun-bin's character disappearing type thing. She had to teleport whatever it is out of the area, and her earpiece falls out, and she has a seizure because she's controlling so many people, and she can only control so many at once. And it turns out that she controlled the entire town, and yeah, she basically gets Kato type deal. She's no longer around. But the girl with the two eyes, who has the chameleon powers, she got stabbed in the chest, and they bring it up before Park Eun-bin's character goes up and to get rid of the thing, to teleport it away. That she's basically not breathing or anything like that. But they make it a point to say she has a pulse, which pretty cool. She's still alive as a villain, but they kept her alive, which technically is the goal because they didn't want to have anyone lose anyone. Even the bad guys you kind of felt bad about because the main character's love interest died. He was basically their brother. Even though the chameleon girl and him kissed, and but they weren't related, they were just adopted type deal. I don't know. However you feel about that. But they bring that up and they're like, hey, she has a pulse. That was like 15 to 20 minutes after that. Well, they're showing what happens to everyone afterwards. Like, they literally have a funeral for the main character, even though the main character's not dead. She's just off on her own right now. She teleported and couldn't get back. She teleported her way out so far that no one knew where she was, typed up. But the girl with the two eyes, the chameleon girl, they tell you she's alive, and you don't find out what happens to her. she's off on her own somewhere. I guess season 2 we'll find out what happened to her, because that's where it leaves off with her. Technically, I guess the ghost who had the coma, or Cecil, might still be alive. She collapsed, and the last time you saw her was her collapsing, and you get the hint she's not alive, but But me, here I am, and I'm like, the character I kind of liked, besides the main character, doesn't have an ending. Like everyone else, like the guy who's sticking to stuff, he had trouble with his marriage. They were about to get a divorce type deal. And you can see that they'll get them together, like him and his wife are working things out. His daughter is the only person who, besides the main cast of like 6, that knows what happened. And she thinks of her father as a superhero. But the last villain you don't find out about, like what happens to her. But then you get end credit scene, which is weird because you don't get many end credit scenes in K-dramas. But you find out that the doctor is still alive because he has like healing factor. He's in some room trapped in a wall, and it's like his face is like reforming, and it's like, oh, yeah, that could be a thing. But they left it off for season 2. I hope we get season 2, but you never get season 2s of K-dramas. Here I am. I'm still waiting for season 2 of Hotel de Luna. That was before COVID. What was that, 2018? 2019? Something around now? Yeah. We don't get K-drama seasons 2. I was surprised when we got a Strong Girl and Numsu or whatever. I haven't even seen the original Strong Girl. But we got the new one of that. I was like, well, I watched that. And I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Which has Park Bo-young in it. That's the original girl from the original series. So, but yeah, it was just like, okay. And Alchemist of Souls has 2 seasons, but that's weird because Alchemist of Soul has like 35 episodes. It's like a kind of a long K-drama, and you don't get really long K-dramas either. By the way, Alchemist of Souls, you get a chance to watch it. It's pretty good. It's actually like, yeah, watch it. But yeah, it's so I would say, besides the weird cliffhangers that I'm like, I'm probably never gonna get solved. I'm still waiting for Extraordinary Woo too. Because season 2 of Extraordinary Woo was announced after season 1 ended. And the one guy went to military school, or military camp, because Korea, you need to, before 30, I think you need to be in the military. Like, that was BTS. But it's only for 2 years. He left, and he came back like 2.5 years ago. So, still waiting for Extraordinary Woo season 2. But, yeah. I would say Extraordinary Woo is my favorite Park Eun-bin. Then Castaway Diva, which I have the soundtrack to Castaway Diva, because you get some actual music from Park Eun-bin. You get some of her actual singing. She's pretty good. But this out of the 4 that I just mentioned was the Doctor Who's killing people. That one, this would probably be under that series, which is probably 4th in the line. I would give it about an 8 out of 10. Maybe a 7. I don't know. It was entertaining. I don't think it's for everyone. Like me, I like superheroes. So it's for me. And it has Park Eun-bin in it, and I'm like, Park Eun-bin's an amazing actress. She's one of those actresses that you should probably keep an eye out for, but yeah. Otherwise, it's fun. It has superhero shenanigans in it. I wouldn't say it's great. Like, I'll probably say more of a 7. I would say out of 10. Like I said, those other shows that she's been in that are like Oscar winner type shows, and this is just like fun adventure, cool story. The interesting way that they handled the one guy's powers at the end, where he's able to stick to anything and anything can stick to what he sticks to type deal. It's kind of funny. But I would say, about probably 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's the best, but I wouldn't say it's the worst show I've ever seen. I saw that Avatar Fire and Ash came out on DVD. So that probably means it's coming out to Disney Plus soon. I will probably do a review on that then. Even though the last two, the first Avatar I didn't like. The second Avatar I liked a little bit more, but I still wasn't as great. Who knows? And I saw that Last Airbender's coming out. That's going to be on Netflix. I'm going to watch that and tell you how I like that, I guess. And X-Men's coming out. Plus a couple movies, so who knows? I plan on watching Supergirl next month. And I plan on watching Spider-Man in the end of July. But if you agree with anything I said, understood anything I said, because I tried to stay vague and I wasn't really using people's names because I can't remember names at this moment in time. Besides Park Eun-bin. Hope you guys enjoy. Have a great night. Yeah, I would say this is about a 7 out of 10. Unlike Spider-Man Noir, which I gave a 9 out of 10. That's great. But, yeah. Okay, good night. Have a wonderful day.